Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott, and we are here for the instant reaction review of the Royal Rumble. It has gone out on a bit of a whimper. The firework display would suggest otherwise because Riyadh is lit up, but man, I do not feel lit up myself. A complicated show to review, but we're going to do that right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, welcome back to the channel, guys. Man, how do you start? Look, first and foremost, I want to get to what probably deserves the headlines, and that is AJ Styles has retired from in-ring competition. It seems like he is done. A little bit of a cryptic ending there where he went to take off his gloves and put them back on. Maybe it was simply for the pose. We'll get into that in a little bit. But the main headline, I guess, at the end that they are looking to promote is that Roman Reigns is going to WrestleMania. Woohoo! Look, it's not 2015, right? I was a lot more annoyed back then. I actually like Roman Reigns these days a lot more than I did then. But come on, man, just another year where they use the Royal Rumble spot in my opinion, in a way that is unnecessary. By giving it someone that doesn't need it. And that's, not every year is it going to be what I like it to be. And I've said this many times before and many times tonight, where it's that kind of talent breaking through. It doesn't always work timeline-wise, but that talent breaking through into that upper tier, getting that opportunity, wasn't it? I mean, I started to think towards the end, I guess Jacob Fatu is probably the best option. And then I started to think whether or not Logan Paul was the best option. And that's when hold on a minute, this is turning sideways. Yeah, not happy, guys. Not happy. Let me know what you guys think. I don't want to be a downer, but man, there was a lot of missed opportunities tonight. There was some good stuff, so we'll try and focus on that as well. But let me see what you guys think. Aiden's in the house. Says hello. Hope you're doing well, Aiden. Hope you enjoyed the show to some extent, at least. Sludge looks like you did. It says this sucks, and not once did I get out of my couch for a surprise. Yeah, surprises. Man, they were light on this show, and that's been the case over the past few years for some of the Rumble events and some of the Rumble matches. The biggest ones that we saw tonight, and again we'll touch on them as we get throughout the show itself. Brie Bella returning, Powerhouse Hobbs, Royce Keys, now known as debuting. Strange ones like La Parka, and not the La Parka that everybody globally might recognize, and that's a kind of conversation on its own. But it wasn't, no Chris Jericho. Reported for a long time, didn't happen. No Paige, no AJ Lee even. El Grande Americano, the original, that was quite fun. And again, there were fun moments on this show, but to give Roman Reigns the Royal Rumble spot, not for me. Just like when I gave it to Edge, not for me. Just like when I gave it to Cody again, not for me. Not necessary, man. Really not necessary. Now, if you reverse engineer and you say, well, these are the WrestleMania main events, we've got to get there somehow with the Royal Rumble winner. But I guess that paints a bigger picture as well, that these main events are clogged up by the same talents as well. I expected Roman to have a big match at WrestleMania. I kind of expected him to be in a title match, even though I'd prefer him not to be. And look, I'm a big Roman Reigns fan. I really enjoy him, like his work, but like it's not his time. We don't need another main event where Roman Reigns is going after the title. And I got a feeling he might even win it this time because he's not had the title for quite some time. So look, we'll talk about that in more detail. Aiden says Sludge kind of the same apart from Royce Keys and Mr. Iguana. Yeah, Mr. Iguana. It was cool seeing Mr. Iguana show up. Punk versus Roman and Liv versus Vaquer. That is done. Yeah, I mean, depends if Raquel beats Vaquer, but yeah, at the moment it looks like it could go that way with Liv Morgan. Punk versus Roman, I think, is the most likely scenario, and I'd prefer that. It is a big match in itself, but it doesn't need to happen. I think I would have preferred it if it was Punk winning the Royal Rumble. And yeah, I know what I'm saying there. I am saying, look, a legend winning. Doesn't that go against this whole idea of someone breaking through to the upper tier? But look, again, it can't always happen that way. It's just that's my ideal scenario. Usually what I like seeing a Money in the Bank winner. What I like seeing a Royal Rumble winner. And if we can't do exactly that, then I'd at least like some sort of freshness. Not someone that's already won the Royal Rumble and is pretty much in every single main event from the past how many years now of WrestleMania. AJ moment was the best point of the show. Sad when you say that, Sludge, isn't it? Because it wasn't really a great point because he's retired. You know, it's sad. I said earlier on I didn't think it was going to happen. That a few hours time I might be coming on here sad about that. And look, I wish I could be like, you know, gleaming in the eye saying, "Oh, it was sad, but like it was a great moment." And look, the rest of the show had these big fiery moments, but. No, instead you just feel dejected. I mean, I just feel dejected anyway. Obafemi, yeah, that was good. He had a good showing on this. Don't get me wrong. Again, there were good moments, and I hate coming on here just seeing it, you know, seemingly coming across as a negative person or anything like that. But look, you come out of it with a big boom, the big story at the end, and the big story at the end for me is one I'm not interested in. Sludge says they wasted Rumble spots, especially on the men's side. Yeah. Again, we'll dive into the matches themselves in a bit more detail very soon. But I agree. I don't think it was well used. They can't always do surprises just for the sake of it. I get that. But like it was a combination of things. It was a combination of no surprises and not a good end as far as who won. Yeah, just not overly thrilled, to be honest, guys. Let me know what you guys think. I see your comments are coming in thick and fast, so I appreciate it. Appreciate it when you come in happy, when you come in frustrated. You know, I want to hear it either way. Royce Keys was fine. It was expected, says Sludge. And I don't watch Triple H, but I knew Mr. Iguana. I was like, okay, it's fine. But then we had La Parca who had... Okay, so Sludge. This is a confusing thing, right? La Parca is one of the characters in Mexico where they... For several reasons, I don't know the exact one for La Parca, but basically, there are characters in Mexican wrestling where if the wrestler retires, someone else takes over the character. So let's say it's easier with a masked character, of course. So let's just say Rey Mysterio in WWE. Of course, he's a Mexican wrestler anyway. Let's say Rey Mysterio retires. They get a new guy from NXT to now be called Rey Mysterio or Rey Mysterio Jr., ironically, as Rey himself once was, or the son of Rey Mysterio or something like that, right? They tend to do things like that. And then sometimes what you'll get is, let's say, for argument's sake, Rey had also worked in AEW. Then AEW come along and go, no, we have the rights to Rey Mysterio. And sometimes you get things like the real Rey Mysterio, right? And they kind of parodied it in this with the original El Grande Americano. The thing with La Parca is a character that was big in the 90s in WCW. So there are a lot of fans worldwide who will know La Parca is, but it's not that La Parca. That La Parca, and correct me if I might be wrong, I don't want to be over the mark now, but again, it gets confusing with so many of these La Parcas. That La Parca passed away a few years ago. So that there would have been people watching this show thinking, what? In that sense, right? Now, that's because people aren't caught up in the way they do it in Mexico. And look, that's its own thing, kind of. But I don't think you should muddy the waters with surprise entrance with someone who your audience might recognize from WCW and it not be that person, because you're not a Mexican wrestling company. I completely agree with them using AAA talent. And La Parca's there, so this version of La Parca is there. Use him eventually if you have to, if you want to. But I don't think the Royal Rumble was the right time to do that. So that's a little bit of a backstory on the La Parca situation. Let me see if I can kind of quickly get this up. Yeah, so the La Parca most people know, the second version of La Parca, it looks like. He died in 2020. And most people, when they saw La Parca's name pop up there, probably thought, huh? The guy from WCW? No, not the guy from WCW. And again, it's different in Mexico, and I kind of get it and like it in some ways, what they do there, but like it's a different wrestling culture. And again, it was kind of parodied with the old Grande stuff, but like realistically, it just is confusing for those that aren't in the know. Not a good idea for me. Not a good idea. No offense to the guy playing La Parka at the moment. No offense to those that are like deep in tune with the history of that particular character. But yeah, for me, a crazy decision. Of all the AAA talents to put in there, I thought that was a really bizarre one. Who attacked Braun? Look, hey, good point, mate. We got a mystery. At least. Who did attack Braun Breaker? I want to hear your answers in the comments. I've got some thoughts on it. We'll get to it when we get to that match itself. Too many luchadors in the men's rumble. I mean, there's a lot of luchadors at the moment. I'm okay with that. I know you're not a big fan of Dragon Lee, Sludge, but I was okay with that. And he said, my mate Chris is still under contract with AEW. Oh, my mate said Chris. I thought you were saying your mate was Chris Jericho. No, he's not. Apparently he's not. And people thought he was coming back to WWE at the beginning of the year. And it didn't happen. They thought, he's been held for the Rumble. And that didn't happen either. Lucha Trooper. I know who that is. That's my good friend Adam says, so much for my hopes of Lucha Brothers reunion. Yeah. Again, another moment they could have done in this Rumble that they didn't go with. When the original World Grande Americana came out first, I thought it was AJ Styles. He had a beard, didn't he? Again, we'll get to that in a little bit. Drew Costed Cody was great. Yeah, that was fun. There was some good things, and I know you're a fan of that being Scottish, but there were some good things on this show. I got to admit, there were things I did enjoy. It's just the end really put it down on for me. Not like that, of course. It was sad, but it was the most memorable moment. I get what you mean about AJ Styles. No, I get what you mean. I know you weren't happy to see AJ retire, but it was a big moment. AJ to AEW, says Lucha Trooper. I don't know. I know a lot of people are looking into him putting his gloves back on as meaning there was something else kind of in his mind. I was crying when AJ was in the ring, says Aiden. And Lucha TNA, please. Yeah, I was totally confused, says Aiden. I think there's a lot of people confused about a lot of things here as well. Aiden thinks it was Seth Rollins who attacked Braun Breaker. Again, we'll get to that in a little bit. Lucha Trooper says, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't Vince McMahon. Pretty Singh says, if AJ is really retiring, why didn't he leave his gloves in the middle of the ring? Look, we're going to get to that in a moment, but yeah, it's a big question going around at the moment, guys. Why did AJ Styles put his gloves back on? I mean, I think it might have just been to do the pose, but we'll see. Sludge says that first of all, Finn Balor, as soon as he hit that stomp, yeah, the way he stood was a little bit Finn Balor-esque, and he did a little bit of a jerky movement like Dean Ambrose. At least Chelsea. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, Chelsea were losing 2-0 to West Ham. They come from behind. So I guess congrats, Aiden. And I'm not going to lie, the women's Rumble might have been the worst Rumble, tied with the 2019 Rumble. I was enjoying the women's Rumble overall, but when credit where it's due with the men's one, there was a part in it where I was like, this feels big time, a bit more than a women's Rumble did, for whatever reason. Maybe it's just presentation. Maybe it's the rosters. And at that point, I saw a lot of hope for the men's Rumble. I thought it was going to go somewhere. As far as like more kind of surprises and stuff like that. Anyway, let's get to breaking down the card itself. This is your instant reaction review from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Thanks for tuning in and joining me, whether you're watching live or on demand. We appreciate you. I know a lot of you are not in the greatest of moods. So I appreciate you still tuning in and kind of hanging in there. But let's talk about the show that we did get. And let's start at the very beginning. It did start out, of course, with the Women's Royal Rumble. A Women's Royal Rumble match that ended up being won by one of the people on this graphic. That's right, the one in the top left-hand side. It was won by Liv Morgan. Now, I'm happy with that. I got to say, I am very happy. We've got to focus on the positives here as well. I'm very happy with Liv Morgan. I've just seen actually a picture of when they when Liv looked dejected when she lost outside a few years ago, and yeah, she's had a few times where she come close, and this time she actually did it. You know, I think that was the right call. The Royal Rumble though actually started this match with Charlotte as number 1, Alexa was number 2. This was good as well. I like the kind of playful side of their team here, where they kind of saying to each other, look, I could do that if I wanted to. And then, nope, I could do that if I wanted to. And they were just buddies in the end and waited for the third person to come out in the end. Overall, the Women's Rumble I thought was quite enjoyable. Some of the big moments that I enjoyed were Alba Fire's fun spots with Chelsea Green. When you said Chelsea won there a minute ago, Aiden, I thought you meant Chelsea Green. I was like, wait, what? But yeah, Chelsea Green, of course, didn't win the Royal Rumble, but she had some fun spots with Alba Fire kind of trying to prevent her from getting out. Alba Fire kind of getting eliminated herself, as the commentators would joke around about as well. Rhea Ripley looked like a megastar, as she is. I'm glad she didn't win. This is a good example of like using these people that don't need to be in main events of WrestleMania and go after titles because they can do other things. Like Rhea Ripley comes out, looks like a superstar, massive pyro, doesn't win. Great. Lyra used Bayley to dive off of and hit Julia with a forearm to eliminate her. It was a little bit sloppy, but still, I think they did quite well with that spot overall, and it was an interesting one to use. Kairi accidentally knocked out Asuka. We got a few kind of awkward accidental moments between teams throughout the night. Brie Mode was re-established as she came out at number 29. That was a bit of a surprise, and of course, number 30 was the returning Tiffany Stratton as well. So a nice way to end the entrance for the women's Royal Rumble match, getting two kind of surprises at the very end there. The Bellas working together and taking out Bayley and Lyra. That was good. Nice to see them have their moment together as well. Lash Legend looked incredible in this match, by the way, I got to say. And then she hit Io with a brutal looking kick to the face, I think it was, when Io was trying to put her down and eliminate her from the outside of the ring. A big old kick from Lash Legend, and Io gets eliminated. She looked fantastic in this match. She wouldn't go on to win, but I think she was one of the MVPs of the women's match for sure. Rhea herself gets eliminated by a Tahana Bomb on the apron. Pretty nasty looking Tahana Bomb as well. Liv eliminated Raquel Rodriguez. Of course, a big story here. We did go into this weekend wondering what it would mean for the Judgment Day, as we did last weekend with Saturday Night's Main Event, and I'm glad that Liv Morgan won. But I wasn't 100% sure if her eliminating Raquel at this point was the right thing to do. I don't know if there should have been a different kind of turn, but look, if Raquel wins the title on Monday Night Raw, then there's a new story to tell there as well. Even if she doesn't, there's an interesting story here with Liv Morgan having eliminated her Judgment Day running buddy. There was a fantastic ending though with Sol Ruka, Tiffany Stratton, and Liv Morgan. Liv would win by the Oblivion, and they were on the apron for quite a bit of time fighting as well. Sol Ruka looked incredible in this match. Another MVP of the match as well. Again, we got to take the positives with tonight, guys. I think Sol Ruka is one of those talents that really shone on this evening. Again, winner of the match, Liv Morgan. Very happy for that. And again, look, this isn't an example that I mentioned before about, you can't tick all those boxes of what I like in an ideal Royal Rumble winner, but at least she's never won the Rumble before, and she's come close several times, and she's an entertaining character. Yes, she's been a world champion before. Yes, she's had high profile WrestleMania matches, but this is still somewhat fresh. Whereas the men's one, completely different story. But anyway, congratulations to Liv Morgan. Happy to see it. A moment I think she well deserved. Aiden says the Women's Rumble started stale and thinks there could be 3 different teams breaking up as a result of the Royal Rumble as well. Sludge said, I was impressed with Kiana James. Sludge, great point. I was impressed with Kiana James as well. I've seen a bit of Kiana James, but not that kind of stuff. I thought she was really good in this match. Flair, Asuka, Raquel turning on Flair, Asuka, and Raquel turning on Liv. Yeah, good point to bring up Flair as well, because again, that's another example. Last year, she won when she really didn't need to. Thankfully, this year it didn't happen. When she got towards the end, I started to get a little bit worried. Becky and Maxine went out way too early. I kind of agree with you there, Sludge. Hey, that was a good moment, wasn't it? Maxine Dupree and Natty, not Natalia now. That was pretty fun. I think even that happened a bit quick. That whole kind of mix between those women was a little bit quick. But yeah, especially the Becky stuff. But no, I was a fan of the Natty stuff at least. Lash was impressive and Soul was amazing. Yeah, completely agree with you, Aiden. Called Brie would be in there. Yes, she did. And Brie mode was certainly activated once again. Aiden says the Women's Royal Rumble had a lot of tag teams working together in the final 7. Had 2 teams. Yeah, they had that little moment where they all kind of paired up together, didn't they? And there were 2, I can't remember who it was, who weren't a team, but they kind of made it look like that. Master Prestige Guna says it was an awful Royal Rumble. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about awful. It weren't my favorite. No Kit Wilson. What a point. What a great point. Yeah, what a shame to not see Kit Wilson. Someone who is massively at this moment in time, like over. What a waste to not use him. To me, Liv was a shock winner, says Aiden. Look, that was my pick. I picked Liv Morgan pretty much all along. I did wonder about Bianca Belair. Look, no return in Bianca Belair. I mean, that's a bit of a shock, guys. I mean, again, I was fearful that she'd come back and win. I'm glad that weren't the case as far as her winning, but you know, it's a shame not to see her back. Will she be back for WrestleMania? We'll have to see. I mean, it was WrestleMania, I believe, that she got injured with that finger in the first place. It must be something, you know, really tricky, to be honest, to keep her out for this long. Master Prestige Gunner says, don't care about the 60 toxic men and women who went into the Royal Rumble. Where was Kit Wilson? I agree with you, mate. What a shame to not have Kit Wilson. Genuinely thought she would be second again as far as Liv Morgan goes. Hey, those terms, second again, that worries me as an Arsenal fan. I don't like hearing that phrase. Master Kit Wilson would have been good in the Rumble. Lash, Soul, and Tiffy. Yeah, good showing from there as well. You said Goon. I did say, look, hey, I don't know if that username comes from what people these days say that term for, but I mentioned I am an Arsenal fan, and that is the nickname of Arsenal fans as well. I know it means something entirely different in the online worldwide culture these days, but it was a different kind of term, negative, that was turned into a term of endearment for Arsenal fans back in the day, seeing as we are called the Gunners. But hey, we'll park that one there. Wasted a spot on Ray Phoenix when we could have had Kit Wilson and Phil Balor. You really don't like luchadors, do you, Sludge? I thought Ray Phoenix was good in this. Again, as Lucha Troop said earlier on, it's just a shame we didn't reunite kind of in the ring, working together with his brother. Finn Balor, yeah, not getting in. Again, we speculate whether or not he'd find his way in, you know, because he was basically, you know, missed the spot, basically. They talked about that on Raw. And yeah, wasn't the case. Kit Wilson, I really do think is a missing one, though. I was saying earlier on to my wife, it would be good if a man wore a similar outfit to what the women wore for Solidarity. And then I thought, wow, Kit Wilson is a great character to do that. Like, I could picture his character doing that. And yeah, didn't even use him. So there's me thinking, wonder what Kit Wilson's going to wear. Didn't even show up. Liv has been coming second or third the last few times, like some red team. Hey, Aiden, come on. That's enough. That's enough. Look, you're lucky. Now that Chelsea won, you're on your high horse, aren't you, mate? But come on. Who's top of the league? For now. Right, anyway, let's move away from football chat. You've got the Rebellious Noise football channel for that, but we are on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. So let's pick it back up where we left off, and we'll move on to the next match that we saw on this night. And man, talk about a downer. God, I'm about to make it a bit sad. Even more so. AJ Styles versus Gunther. And my gosh, guys, AJ Styles lost. AJ Styles is done. For good? Or just for WWE? I don't know. I really don't know. Again, this match ended with AJ Styles passing out, going to take off his gloves. You know, the age-old thing of taking off your boots. He went to take off his gloves, and then he put them back on, and then did his pose, and he looked upset, and he left. Why? What's that mean? Now, some people think it's because he's going to go to TNA, or maybe his contract is run out with WWE and he's going to go to AEW or New Japan. I don't know. I mean, all the talk, from WWE at least, has been retiring. And he said he'd retire in 2026. And maybe WWE's way, if they know he wants to do other things, and AJ knows he wants to get done in 26, but he wants to do other things, maybe this is their way of just being like, all right, it's done for us. Because it kind of, I don't want to say it was underwhelming, but was it? I mean, maybe because it was a shock, and maybe there's a bit of fatigue when it comes to retiring wrestlers. You know, Goldberg, John Cena, AJ Styles, all done by the career killer that is Gunther. I like his character at the moment. I kind of like that as well. But maybe having it in quick succession means it's lost its shine already. I don't know. Do you guys reckon AJ Styles is done? Or do you think he's going to do something outside WWE? I kind of... And then like a big promoted thing in another organization. I mean, it'd be a shame for WWE, but at least they get their final moment as well and kind of marketing themselves without like going into it saying this is his last match. But it should have been a bit more loser leaves WWE. But I guess they want to promote it and keep it quiet. If he is going elsewhere, they want to kind of be like, that was the moment, guys, until even if they know it's not going to be the main moment. But to me, like the way they've spoken about it, it feels like this is it. Yeah. Aiden says, I don't want to, but I genuinely might cry again. Yeah, it's over. It's over for AJ Styles. What a shame. What a shame. I mean, again, it was, I liked the surprise. I thought it was a really good match as well. Let me get some of the notes on that, and I can see some more comments coming in. We'll get to those in a minute. But look, AJ Styles comes out, gets great pyro. I mean, got a lot of pyro this night. Great pyro, great intro. He looks a bit emotional when he came out. Early on, he gets his forearm cut on the announce table. It's a beautiful springboard 450. He somehow does the Styles Clash to Gunther. I was terrified. I was shouting at my TV, no, don't do it. It looked so slippery and dangerous when he does it to people of that size. But somehow he did it, and thankfully it was safe. There was a low blow from Gunther, and he took advantage. Did a powerbomb. Looked like he might stack him up for the pin. Only gets a 2. Then there was this really weird period where the ref looked like he was going to stop it, and I thought, nah, they're not going to do that, surely. But like it looked like it was happening really quick, and I got this feeling in my stomach. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. Like, AJ's going to retire. So I started to feel like it could actually be happening. I was more stressed at the idea of it happening like that, because like, while that would be somewhat an interesting way to do it, like I don't like when they bring up these kind of stipulations once every 5 years and go, oh yeah, that's a thing that could happen, in like a really strange way. You know, like they should condition us 6 months earlier, you know, or so. I mean, they didn't do this, but let's say if they did do it, they've done examples like this before where they've done something and they go, what the heck, that never happens. And it's a bit confusing because yeah, they could have done it 6 months ago, you know, like to kind of at least make people think, oh yeah, sometimes, you know, referees do stoppages. But it's so rare. But anyway, that wasn't what they went with, and it was all right. But I was starting to think, oh my gosh, this is it now. They mentioned in commentary when the ref did ring the bell, call for the bell to be rung. Did have a good relationship with AJ Styles apparently over the years. But yeah, it did end. AJ did retire. He didn't tap out he passed out. And even this was weird. Like they did the whole, and I've seen this before, don't get me wrong, but they did the whole arm up, boom, flap, done. And I'm like, oh, they should have done 3 of them. But no, I guess that is right. Like if you like that is right, because yeah, it shouldn't be 1, 2. On the third one, your arm, the first time your arm flaps, you're out. But usually they go 1, 2 or 3. But yeah, AJ was just out straight away. Man, AJ Styles is gone, and it's a shame. You know, let's spend a bit of time just appreciating AJ Styles, because I don't want to think about much else on this show. I don't want to get to that just yet. Yeah, like AJ is such a great talent. Had an incredible career with WWE, 10 years. A lot of times where I felt like maybe it was time for him to move on, or he was getting underutilized, but at the same time he had a way longer WWE career than I ever thought he would have, and a very prominent position for quite some time in some memorable moments as well. Earned the respect, I feel, of WWE and its fans and its wrestlers. If you didn't have it already, don't get me wrong, but I remember years ago, and I've spoken about this before, I remember years ago thinking that the ship had sailed for AJ and it'll never work for WWE, and that was over 10 years ago, of course, because he showed up at the Royal Rumble. It was so exciting when he did, but just not just his WWE career. He did some great things in New Japan just before that, but of course in TNA and Ring of Honor over here with the FWA as well. He had some great matches here in the UK in that period. But for TNA, he was the star. He was the main kind of focal point for me. One of the main reasons I got into TNA in the first place. That those early years of TNA, like it was great. It really was great. There was some bad things about it, don't get me wrong, and them chasing to be number 2 didn't always work out. But what was good about TNA, I should say, was things like AJ Styles, and he's had an incredible career, and so grateful, man, to to be able to watch 20 years of a career like that. You know, he's a fantastic wrestler, and I wish him nothing but success in retirement, if this is really it. Could have had so many bang matches to Sludge. Yeah, I mean, they alluded to it on SmackDown, didn't they? They said, look, we could do the phenomenal farewell tour, but nah, mate, it's over. Aiden says it genuinely took a whole ad break to concert. Yeah, look, I mean, look, again, it's sad. It's sad that AJ's gone so soon after John Cena as well. He refed AJ's matches in TNA. Oh, right, is that right? Okay, cool. Yeah, but that was it. Sad. Let's get to some more of your comments as well from other portions of the show. Aiden says last 7 was Tiffy, Soul, Lash, then Raquel, Liv, and Io and Rhea. Yeah, again, I enjoyed the way the women's one ended. Sludge says, I like how they do the women's rumble where the women's last a long time and a bunch of women in the ring at the same time, but the men just go out quickly like Solo. Yeah, Solo Sikoa. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised when he said it was his first Royal Rumble. Ray could have been in there longer. Yeah, Obafemi went on the tear from the get-go, didn't they? We're going to get to the men's Royal Rumble in just a little bit, but let's move on to a match that maybe is... going to play into the winner, but probably not, of the men's Royal Rumble. But we certainly saw one of these guys show up at the men's Royal Rumble, and that was the winner of the match here, Drew McIntyre. That's right. He is 12-0 against Sami Zayn. Aiden, I'm sure you're thrilled because your fellow Scott has retain the gold, and I'm happy for Drew himself. But you know, the big story I wanted to see was Sami Zayn lose and then maybe get into the Rumble and win it, and then go on to WrestleMania and win it. And I don't think that's going to happen now. I mean, he didn't go into the Rumble and win that, did he? So maybe he wins the Elimination Chamber. Maybe it is him going after the title at WrestleMania. If it's not, it'd be a real shame, especially when you've got Roman Reigns in that position again. We'll get to that. But look, Sami Zayn not winning wasn't a biggest surprise. Although after AJ Styles losing, I thought maybe this audience needs a pick me up. I felt like I needed a bit of a pick me up, but nah. Drew McIntyre would win. The heel would be victorious. Sami Zayn came out looking pretty serious as well. I'm not a big fan with Sami. Like sometimes it calls for it, but like this is still a big exciting opportunity for Sami. So he, wasn't as happy-go-lucky. Some of the big spots in this, there was a missed Claymore where there was a bit of back and forth between Sami and Drew as far as kind of who's in control. 3 Future Shock DDTs, only gets a 2. I like him still using the Future Shock. I liked him using it 3 times. But for your old finisher to not do the job 3 times in a row just was... I don't know about that. Like that should win something. Like maybe it's not as strong anymore, and that's why you brought in the Claymore, right? I get people not winning with their old finishes because they become more specials than finishers. But if you do it 3 times and you won titles for it in the past, I don't know, man. Talking about missed moves, there was a missed Helluva kick and then a Claymore straight after this, where Sami ended up getting his foot on the rope. There was a powerbomb through the announce table, which really seemed to take out Sami. They really started to play on his bad back from this point. He hit an exploder to get a bit of momentum back himself, but again, that knocks him down because of his own injury. There's a Helluva kick stopped by a Claymore, which was a really cool little segment. And then there was a Claymore when Sami was kind of down and getting up, basically putting him out of his misery, it would seem, from the harsh Drew McIntyre, who picks up the victory. And again, yeah, Sami Zayn still not a world champion and still not beating Drew McIntyre. And I just feel like with that record, both of them, this is a great story to tell. I don't know if they're going to tell it now, which is a shame. And I've said it a few times this weekend. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in, by the way, over the weekend and supported the channel and joined us for the kickoff watch along and the weekend kickoff preview that we did and our build up show on the night of the PLE itself, and those here for the instant reaction review. You would have heard me say a few times, like, I don't want Sami Zayn to join that club of Roddy Piper and Razor Ramon as, 2 incredible talents that never became world champions in WWE. and they shouldn't be in that club themselves. But my point is, Sami Zayn, yeah, we have an opportunity here to not make that same mistake again, in my opinion. And Sami Zayn looks to maybe be falling into that path as well, which really would be a shame to me. Big Sami Zayn fan. So look, he's not as hot and over as he was when I really think they should have done it at the Chamber a few years ago. But this feels like the second best opportunity that they could have manufactured. You know, Montreal, the Royal Rumble, Saudi Arabia, like a lot of factors in there, and they haven't gone for it, you know. So I don't know, maybe he goes to WrestleMania somehow still, again, the Elimination Chamber or something. But hey, there's a lot of twists and turns on the road to WrestleMania, so we'll see. Is it as straightforward as it currently looks? Let's get some of these comments here. I want to know what you think about about Drew McIntyre retaining the title as well. Going back to some of the AJ stuff, Aiden says ref should have called the match. Is that related to the AJ stuff? He says let's not talk about my predictions as well. Sludge says I really try to appreciate these older wrestlers like Randy and even Sheamus. Yeah, that's a great point. It's good to see when they're still around. Good to see them and still, you know, contributing in prominent positions as well and getting their kind of flowers. But you know, it's when they start winning matches and getting in positions that younger guys need to be in that it starts to become a problem for me. Drew was match of the night, says Aiden. Of course you would say that. I'm not excited for Cody versus Drew, Sludge, but if you add Fatu and Sami into the mix and make it a fatal four-way, now I'm intrigued. My insides just moved. Sludge, thank you for giving me a little bit of hope there. I mean, look, they've said Fatu for a long time, haven't they? And it being a triple threat, but maybe that's how we do it. Yeah, Sami Zayn. You've taught me around, Sludge. And I hope I'm not disappointed, but I mean, because look, my idea for Sami coming out and winning the Rumble kind of didn't really look like it was going to happen once he started playing into the bad back. I thought it would be screwed or something, and you know, overcome the odds. Maybe could have overcome the odds with the bad back, but yeah, didn't. But yeah, I like that. And Sami to win. I like that because I don't want Cody versus Drew. Cody versus Drew versus Jacob, better. Cody versus Drew versus Jacob versus Sami, and Sami winning the title, even better. Aiden says no, doesn't want the fatal four-way. We're not having a match where Drew can't be involved in the finish. But look, that protects Drew. If he's going to lose it, that protects him. I just hope Cody doesn't win it. Sami should have stayed down, says Aiden. He needs to think of his family. Some great heel work there from not only Aiden here in the comments, but Drew McIntyre as well. Should have stayed down. It would have been better for him. Okay, now I get what you meant about that comment earlier on. But yeah, Sami Zayn is not WWE champion. Drew McIntyre still is. Look, I can't be too annoyed about that. I love Drew McIntyre. I think he's great. I'm so glad he is champion. I'm so glad he won the title. I just want Sami Zayn to eventually pick it up. But yeah, a decent match. But again, a bit of a okay for the fans. You know what I mean? They watched the first one and they're like, oh, cool, Liv won, that was good. Then they see AJ retire and it's like, oh, that's a bit of a downer. Then they see Sami Zayn not win. They go, oh, we didn't see a title change. All right, we're going to see something exciting in the Men's Royal Rumble. I need to do heel work when we're talking about Drew, says Aiden. I appreciate it, mate. I appreciate it. You're going to stick with Drew no matter if he's a good guy or a bad guy. You're ride or die. Look, I love Drew. I love Drew, don't get me wrong. Right, let's talk about the Men's Royal Rumble. We've put it off for long enough. Let's get into the match itself. Look, we've talked about the ending a little bit. Roman Reigns, spoiler alert, is going to WrestleMania. Boring. But let's get into how we got there and some of the fun stuff we did see in it. And again, I have to keep stressing, I like Roman Reigns. I want to see Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. That's it. Not in a world title match. Not winning the Royal Rumble. Give those to other people. But anyway, Obafemi is number 1. Bron Breakker is number 2. Now, of course, this is a crazy can of worms in itself. There was a graphic. Some of you will know. You would have seen it on SmackDown, and you will know because we discussed it over the weekend's preview shows as well. Bron Breakker as number 1. He didn't come out as number 1. It looks like they kind of tweaked it, and they decided to still put him in that spot in number 2. But what's really interesting is that he was attacked straight away by a figure all in black and a mask who hit a stomp. Yeah. I was thinking, is it Seth? Doesn't look like Seth. Some people thought it might be CM Punk. Some people thought it could be... Who else is it? Do people think? Yeah, whatever. Seth Rollins, CM Punk. They were the biggest candidates. But we don't know. There's a mystery. And I don't know if it's one of those where, like, they're going to be revealed and it have been that person. Like, you know, when it was Austin Theory, there was a few times where people like, that guy looks different to the guy that did it last week. I don't know if that was the case. A bit like Retribution, when it was like different shapes and sizes of people. And you're like, hold on a minute. The members keep changing. If they just got people to play that, someone to play this, and then eventually they'll reveal it, or maybe they don't even reveal it, and they were like, "Yeah, it was him all along. He did that." But I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know who it is. It's intriguing. I don't know if they were going to do this all along. I genuinely thought the Braun Breaker might win it. I mean, look, if they've given it to Roman Reigns, he was probably winning it anyway. But I thought Braun was going to have a long spell in this match. Really interesting that they've done this. If he was number one, would they have done it then? Because obviously, Obafemi was in the ring waiting for Braun to come in the ring. So this attack was done outside the ring. Then he could get in the ring and be thrown out by Obafemi. If Obafemi was number two, would his entrance be interrupted by that person who attacks Braun, who's waiting in the ring, and then Obafemi gets in and throws him out? Would that have been... That would have looked a little bit cheap. More cheap, I would say, for Obafemi. So I don't know if this was the plan all along, or if it was something they've come up with because their original idea of having to go number one and all the way or something like that, or number one and be an Iron Man or whatever it is, was changed. I don't know, because of the kind of graphic that went out there. Aiden says Seth costs Braun. Or Seth could have been in America. We don't know, because his daughter had gymnastics class today. I'm guessing that is just something that Seth said, and you don't know Seth's rota. Aiden says, "Oh, NXT rivals facing off: Trick versus Evans versus Femi." Yeah, that was good to see. Yeah, that was again a good way to use people in the Royal Rumble. Javon Evans impressed me the most today, more than over Femi, I would say. So Sludge, I enjoyed what both those people did. I don't think Trick was in it long enough either. Talking about kind of things being done quickly in the women's match, I thought Trick was in there for way too short a time, considering how much airtime he's got on the main event scene lately. Let's get back to some of the big moments in it, though. Again, Solo came out, number 3, I think. They said it was his first Rumble. Really surprised by that. I remember saying on the stream earlier tonight that if this was a few years ago, I think it was earlier tonight or yesterday's one, that Solo, I would have believed him winning a few years back. I couldn't have. He was never in one. But, you know, the kind of hype he had around him. I've enjoyed what Solo's done with the MFTs, so I thought, maybe. But no, he got eliminated. Obafemi eliminated 5 people, like pretty much straight away. I did enjoy Mr. Iguana. We touched on it earlier on. A great English TV phrase that I think Wade Barrett purposely used was "It's a puppet." Goes this old comedian thing. The gag is that they hit the puppet with like a baseball bat sort of thing, and then they say, don't worry, when the audience say, it's a puppet. I'm pretty sure that was what Wade Barrett was referring to, and I appreciate that. Something I haven't heard since I don't think I was a kid, to be fair. Trick got a fantastic reaction. Again, he wasn't in there for as long as I hoped he would be, but he got a fantastic reaction. El Grande Americano came out with his buddies, and then he made his way to the ring, and this was fun. The original El Grande Americano came out. Now, who is it? I mean, he had the build of Chad Gable. So did the original, when we saw the original. But he had a beard. He had a beard, guys. I kept thinking, if I could see the guy's ears, I'd know who it was, because he's got distinctive ears, Chad Gable. So his eyes are quite telling as well, and it did look like his eyes, but the beard did throw me off a little bit. I was thinking, is he going to come out as Chad Gable and do a return, and then they can play into that as well? I don't know where to go with these guys. Ludwig Kaiser apparently is playing the current American El Grande Americano, and he's not been on air as himself either. I did wonder if them two could enter, a bit like, again, Mick Foley as Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and Mankind all those years ago. Could we get something similar? But we didn't. We did get, though, a fun little spot. And again, it kind of refers to what I was talking about earlier on, the kind of tradition, I guess, if you will, they do in Mexico, sometimes in Japan as well, where they don't retire a character, they retire a person playing the character and they take it over. And then sometimes again it leads to disputes between these organizations as well, where someone's like the real one, the original one, and that's kind of what it seems like they're doing here. But like, I don't know what the original plan was for El Grano Americano, and I don't know if we're going to get back to that. But look, either way, a fun little spot. It is what it is. Nice surprise as well. I say surprise, a lot of people predicted it. What was the most surprising was the fact that the graphic came up and said Powerhouse Hobbs. And I thought, what? I thought they were changing the name. And then they said, formerly known as, and here's his new name, Royce Keys. I assumed they were getting rid of the name because AEW owned it. No. They like, not only, sometimes they say, like, they skirt around, I guess, copyright and whatever by saying, like, formerly known as. But, like, they used it as a graphic. It was a good reception. It wasn't the biggest. Maybe it would have been different in a North American audience. I don't know. I mean, not to say that these fans weren't great. I think they were good all weekend. I think they were very vocal and cheered what they needed to cheer and that kind of stuff. But yeah, a surprise in the sense that they used that graphic, and yeah, nice to see him. He wasn't in it for long, no. We got some good moments while he was in there, but yeah, he wasn't in it for too long. Then we had La Parka. I've touched on the La Parka situation earlier on, but yeah, that was I don't like saying it because, yeah, but it did feel like a wasted spot because it wasn't the La Parka. If you're just tuning in, not the La Parka you might remember from WCW. And I think that's confusing for non-Mexican wrestling kind of experts. LA Knight eliminates Austin Theory and Bronson Reed. It was looking good for LA Knight, man. He returned in the group chat. Rob, who's not been on the stream for a while, but he was chatting and he said, look, what about LA Knight winning? And I thought, man, I forgot all about him. Like, didn't even mention him on the build-up show. And he'd been gone for a while. He'd been taken out by Bronson Reed, you know, the tsunami on the car. And the last few months he was around that. Like, he was really pushed. And I thought, hold on a minute. Could he? And he, you know, gets rid of two members of the Vision. And at this point, you've still got Logan Paul in there as well. Doesn't get rid of Logan Paul, and instead, Brock Lesnar comes out. And he comes out marching to the ring with Paul Heyman. This seemed like Paul Heyman's kind of backup. You know, of course, they were realigned a few months back anyway, kind of alongside the Vision, but not. He's not a member of the Vision, but, you know, he's got a, you know, Heyman's got a separate interest, I guess, in Paul Heyman, in Brock Lesnar. I thought maybe this is going to be it. Maybe a bit of a surprise here. Didn't really go anywhere. Now, at this point, well, not just yet, but in a little bit, I had a bit of an issue with my Netflix. But before that, thankfully, I got to see the face-to-face between Lesnar and Obafemi. A lot of us were looking forward to it. And it was, first of all, ruined by The Miz, who then slides back out the ring, realizing, no, I don't want to get involved here. But eventually, they did go at it. And, yeah, it was really good to see. And I think it would have done wonders for Obafemi. My stream cut out at this point. I don't know what was going on. It frustrated me. I saw it as Jey Uso's music hit. But it looks like, from doing a bit of digging, what I missed was Jey Uso taking an age, and therefore Brock Lesnar got eliminated by, I think, LA Knight and Cody Rhodes at the same time while his music was still playing, which I think was not great for a big star like Brock Lesnar. Big moment. Jay, I didn't see from this point because the stream cut out. It come back. No, I did see. Sorry. Tell a lie, because he did the 1D with Roman Reigns. I did see that. But while it was out, Roman Reigns arrived on the scene as well. When it came back on, some people I think had been eliminated, but I weren't quite sure who the heck was still around. Penta came out as well. Didn't do his strut, didn't have time for that. Went to springboard off the ropes into Randy Orton, and it was one of those you could telegraph. It was a RKO out of nowhere. Nice little spot between those as well. Yeah, Randy Orton's in the ring, by the way, at this point. Gunther is the 30th member of the roster to enter the Men's Royal Rumble. And again, this is an example of like, oh, okay. Because at that point, you know, it's always that awkward moment where number 30 is your last chance, obviously, for like a surprise. If it's been a show light on surprises, it really does put a lot of pressure on that. Now, it being a heel kind of helps. The year it was Rey Mysterio when everybody wanted Daniel Bryan. You know, it's a famous example of this backfiring. But with a heel, it kind of worked. Now, he limps to the ring after his battle with AJ Styles, and I thought, man, is he going to win? Spoiler, no, he doesn't win, but he gets bloody close, which he did again a few years ago as well. Anyway, he makes his way to the ring, and at this point, to be fair, the the field is quite stacked. There's a lot of people in the ring, and there's still a bit of hope in there for me for it to be someone new, someone fresh. There's an accidental Cody cutter to Randy Orton after Randy is holding up. I can't remember who it is now, but they get out of the way, and Cody accidentally hits him with a Cody cutter. Hopefully telling a bit of a story going there, because then it keeps Cody out of the main event picture. Probably not though. It's a Claymore to Cody Rhodes. You might be thinking, hold on a minute, I thought Drew McIntyre's a champ. What's he doing here? Yeah, he did it on the outside and it eliminated Cody Rhodes. That was really good to see, because it made me a bit more relaxed about Cody winning and taking that spot that I think someone else probably deserved, even though that spot would be still taken away from someone that deserved it. But yeah, a great way to eliminate Cody Rhodes and enhance that feud. And again, them two, okay, interesting. Them and Far 2, a bit more interesting. And as was mentioned in the chat earlier on, what about adding Sami Zayn to the mix? That'd be pretty good. Fans went wild for Jey Uso's elimination. That reminds me, I did see it. He went to eliminate Roman, and Roman eventually eliminated him. Fans went really, really wild for it. My wife and I were trying to figure out what was going on when our stream cut out, and she just saw so much negativity about Jey Uso. Now, Jey Uso is an interesting character. Look, we've said it quite a few times on this channel. I know some people see him as just a entrance. Some people were annoyed last year's Royal Rumble because he won. I thought it was the right call last year. I thought him winning the world title was the right call. I think he deserved it. But I do understand where the pitfalls are and limitations, it would seem, with Jey Uso, and where they maybe overemphasize on certain things, like his entrance. As much as I like it, I do think it can be a bit much, but it's not for me, strictly speaking. It's for the kids, do you know what I mean? And like selling t-shirts, and I'm fine with that. It's a part of Jay's character that is enhanced, that is my favorite part of his character. The yeet stuff and all that, but I can't pretend I don't enjoy it. And I think wrestling fans have to stop pretending they didn't enjoy it either, for the most part. Yeah, there would have been people that didn't like it at first, but man, people thought it was hilarious when he was drunk yeeting on that press conference with Cody Rhodes. And people liked saying yeet at first when he first was doing it, and people really, really liked his entrance and really liked Jey Uso as a performer in the Bloodline. So, main event, Jey Uso getting a lot of, he has become stale though. Something's not working for him, clearly, in the eyes of the audience at least. The final four was Roman Reigns, Logan Paul, Randy Orton, and Gunther. And I was actually saying at this point, like, I kind of want it to be Logan Paul. I know that sounds a bit like controversial to some people, but like it would have been different. I know it's about Royal Rumble, and I know some people in WWE will probably look at some of my comments here, and if they saw them, they'd say, "Well, it's about WrestleMania. You've got to work backwards." As I mentioned earlier on, it can't just be someone fun winning the Rumble and then they're not in the WrestleMania match, and that's crap, or they're in it and it's pointless. But like, I was actually just thinking, like, man, at least it'd be different. Then I thought Gunther, I was like, he's not that criteria that I've said before, like, because he's been a world champion and he's kind of done too much. Like, he held the IC title for ages, NXT UK title for ages, world title for a fair amount of time, retired Goldberg, retired Cena, retired AJ Styles today. It doesn't need to add Royal Rumble winner to his CV. Maybe a year ago, he was champion a year ago, wasn't he? Maybe a little bit before that, whenever it was that he got close. But again, that would have been a better option for me than Roman Reigns. The other option was Randy Orton, and as much as I love Randy Orton, like, again, I don't want to be hypocritical, because he would have been a bit fresher because he hasn't done it in a long time, and he's in like a legacy run, no pun intended. But it wouldn't be necessary, wouldn't be needed. So anyway, Roman Reigns wins, and man, we started this show feeling down, and unfortunately we're ending it feeling a little bit down. Let's hope your comments can lift me up though, guys. I'm going to get to some of those. Was Brock Lesnar Heyman's FAFO? F around and find out, I think is what they were referring to with FAFO, unless I'm wrong. What did that really have to do with Adam Pearce though? Like, that is it. I actually think the guy who attacked Bron Breakker might be Adam Pearce, because like, he's really got involved with this storyline. He's really got physical, and he used to be a wrestler. He's NWA world champion. I think it might be him, Which, what's the end goal here? Does he wrestle a match against Bron Breakker? Like, it definitely looks like them two are butting heads the most. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. That's my pick. I was wondering if it was CM Punk because of his feud with Bron Breakker as well. I was also wondering if it was Seth Rollins, but I don't know if he's ready. I'm kind of wondering if it's someone that they don't know, but they needed this route, and they will kind of assign someone to the role in the future and pretend it was them all along. But I'm going to go with Adam Pearce. What do you guys reckon? Could it be Adam Pearce? Right, let's get some more of these comments. Mentioned Hobbs, as you say. Cody versus Hobbs was kind of mentioned. Yeah, they did. They talked about the AEW past that they had. They didn't reference it by name, of course. The fans did, though. There's a bit of an AEW chant going on. Roman turning on Jay. Yeah, that's true. Nice to see AAA representation here as well. I agree. Aiden also says the El Grande moment reminded me of the Spider-Man meme. Yeah, good point. They look very different though, didn't they? I think it would have been better if he weren't wearing green. He was wearing the more kind of American red, white, and blue colors. But the green was for Saudi Arabia. But yeah. Such as I thought it was AJ, then I thought it was Madcap Moss, but then I thought Chad Gable might just grown some face. Madcap Moss, it's a name I hadn't heard in a while. Yeah, who knows? But yeah, he does have similar facial hair. Drew cost Fatu and Cody. They don't deserve a title shot. Yeah, I forgot Fatu got eliminated, which was disappointing. Look, I think Jake and Fatu a few months ago would have been like most people's pick. A lot of people thought he might do it this time, but like most people would pick as far as they wanted it as well. This time I would have been like happier with him winning than what we got, but definitely not in the same way I would have been, I think, a few months ago. I don't know how to say this username. I guess I'm Unimpressed Face, I'm going to call you. That's what it looks like. The Royal Rumble results were leaked a week ago, and a lot of people, including me, knew that Roman and Real would be winning 2 days ago, and they leaked that Roman Reigns will win the title and hold it for a whole year. No, they can't do that. Leaks are... If you saw some leaks, I mean, they happen to be true, maybe, or maybe they were legit. I don't know, but I can't see Roman Reigns holding the title for a year. But look, I appreciate your comment either way. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the Royal Rumble, even with those spoilers. Jay pretty much took 90 seconds to get to the ring. Again, my Netflix cut out, so I didn't even see that. Jay had to do a redo. Had Jay done a redo, which was interrupted by Roman's entrance. Oh, okay, is that what they did? To be honest, I just hate it because it was in Saudi, especially I won't use that last term that you said there, but appreciate your comments. I wanted Randy, says Aiden. Hey, like again, I can't be a hypocrite, Aiden, and say I want someone that's been in loads of main events to be in another. It's not even that with Roman. Like, even though I don't want him in it this year, like there are times where I'm like, yeah, just guy that's had a lot of main events can be in a main event again, have a title match. But like, it's the combination of it. It's the fact that Roman's won the Rumble before. It's the fact that Roman has been gone for ages. Now he's back. He's won the Rumble. All right, he's going to be. He was going to be at WrestleMania anyway. It's the fact that Roman held the title for so long and like he's back in the title picture again. You could argue that it was 2 years ago now that he lost the title nearly. I'm not itching for him to get back. I liked his run, but there were definitely times where I was like, end it. Sami Zayn being the biggest example of that. And I hope we get Sami Zayn winning a title. Instead, I mean, Roman holding up the World Heavyweight Championship will do stuff for that title. And Roman versus CM Punk is fresh on its own. Even though it's got a kind of baked-in story they've been building over the past few years. Remember the War Games moment a few years ago. But yeah, that's Royal Rumble, guys. It's in the books. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was a good show. It was all right. There were good parts about it, but I'm on a bit of a downer because I didn't want Roman Reigns to win, and I don't like that I feel that way because it feels like I'm just being like I was 10 years ago, 11 years ago now, 12, whatever it was when Roman won. That was a different Roman Reigns, and since then, I've been enjoying him, but it is what it is, guys. That about brings us towards the end of the show. Again, appreciate you tuning in. Got a message here. Oh, yeah. Aiden said he sent me something on Iron Pro Wrestling's inbox on Twitter. There's a report going around that Chris Jericho is still currently listed on the AEW roster page. Man, I'd be mad if that's the case. if he is somehow back in AEW, like if it's all the swerve and he's back in AEW, I mean that's a big get for AEW, which wouldn't have seemed that way. You know, Jericho and AEW felt a little stale. Coming to WWE would have freshened things up for him. But this is the best way. If you're going to say in AEW, this is the best way to go about it, I think. So it's like when Sting and TNA took advantage of everybody thinking he was going to WWE with a 22111 promos and ended up being The Undertaker. They basically did not a parody, but a one to kind of reference that. And it was kind of like, you're promoting something that we wish happened elsewhere. Anyway. Yeah, Aiden, you said that. Your mate said that about Jericho as well. I don't know, man. There was reputable people were saying Jericho was out of contract, so I really don't know. Maybe he's re-signed, like I say. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and we really do appreciate all the support you've given us over this Royal Rumble weekend. Again, for those that joined us for the WWE kickoff show watch along that we did, those that joined us on the weekend kickoff that we did as well, and those that joined us on the build-up show to get you hyped up and in the mood for this PLE. And I appreciate everybody that stayed tuned and joined us again for the instant reaction review. It's really great to get your thoughts and opinions, and I really do thank you for that. Thank you to Lucas for sending in his contributions to the build-up show earlier on. Thank you to Skillet for joining us again. Check him out at Skillet World on social media. And I really do appreciate everybody that's given us support over the beginning part of 2026. We hope to be back with a bang for Elimination Chamber. I believe it was 28th February there in Chicago. Then it looks like we'll go straight into the WrestleMania. And then in May, they've just announced Backlash in Tampa as well. So a busy few months in wrestling. It's the most exciting time of the year. So hopefully that'll pick us up. And hey, let's see what Monday Night Raw has in store for us as well. Aiden says goodbye. Bye to you, Aiden. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad at least you were happy about Drew McIntyre retaining. And again, thank you all for joining me here tonight. I really do appreciate it. I've been Scott, and this has been the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. I'll see you on the next one.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.